Welcome to the Play Choices podcast, the podcast you hear. I'm your host, V.
Hi guys, I'm the co-host Lucas.
Okay, we're going to spend this episode discussing the fourth chapter of Ride or Die. This episode is not spoiler safe, so if you want to avoid spoilers for Ride or Die chapters 1 through 4, please read those first, and then we'll be here for you to come back and listen. I would ask you how you're doing today, but I felt like the first time it just got off track, so I'm just
It
going
got off track, so we're just gonna keep it brief. It's been a struggle trying to record today, guys, but we are here. We are going to make sure that the content that we give is excellent, and I'm optimistic that we can handle this.
When is it not a struggle, honestly?
I mean, it's our aesthetic.
It's our vibe, it's our theme. Every episode poses its own unique challenges, but we're here. So that's what matters.
Back to our one true love,
Our one true love. I was literally just about to say that, like, this book is such a comfort book for me. It
It's
really
such a
is.
comfort book. Yeah, it's such a comfort book. It's just something so just the characters, the I don't know. Even playing this chapter and again, like we've talked about, every chapter, every book that we play, I am new to. So like even
Right.
when we stopped recording Ride or Die and branched off to other books that are in the Choices app, I did not continue to play it. So again, playing like this chapter for the first time, the chapter 4, it was just like an old friend. I said, "Hey, girl. Hey, problematic Ellie. How you doing, baby?"
I feel the exact same way. Well, I mean, not exact same, because first of all, let me rewind. I'm glad that you and I read the books in the same way, because I do not read ahead. Like wherever chapter we were at, I don't read ahead.
Yeah.
I read it on an as needed basis for the podcast.
Right.
So yeah, we're very similar in that. And yeah, I just, we don't need to get into the details, the who, what, and why, but this week has just been a very stressful week for me. Actually, it's just been a very stressful month for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of shit has been happening in my personal life. I mean, let me just say I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't want to
Right.
worry anybody. I don't want anyone to think I'm like in danger or under duress. There's a lot of good stuff happening, but I think sometimes in order to get to the good stuff, you got to deal with some bullshit, And that's where I'm at. I'm at the bullshit before the good stuff happens. And this week it's just been very tiring. I've felt very like off.
Yeah.
And I started compiling the notes for this episode like last night, and it just made me feel like at home. I don't know how else to say that. Like, I don't think that I realized how much this book was a comfort book for me until we
Yeah.
started recording again, because prior to making this podcast, I hadn't played Ride or Die in pretty much since 2019. After it finished releasing, I replayed it like a bunch of times, but then I just took a break because I think just seeing the characters just hurt me. But I think now, like, especially in the early chapters, like, it's just such a comfort book for me.
I gotta say, after this chapter, I don't know if it's gonna be that much of a comfort book for me.
Oh.
And guys, that's why we do record this podcast. This is why. No, like obviously we'll get into it, but this chapter, oh my lord, my heart. I was like, Ellie, why? Just why?
Why? Do you want to voice like why you feel that way, or do you just want to go through the chapter and then get to it when we get to it?
I think now we're really starting to get into that rise in action climax setting, because now things are really starting to conflict with her social life and her, thrill life. And it's becoming a little bit, obviously, realistically, she's not going to be able to maintain and balance both. So
Mhm.
now I really feel like the choices are more so, are you doing this for yourself or are you doing this for Logan? And then what path do you want to take? And like emotionally, just get a little bit. So it's a roller coaster. And I'm trying to get off, but Ellie, she just like, no, I'm a thrill seeker now. And I'm like, all right, here we go.
It's the definition of wanting to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, truly, truly. And Logan and Colt, child, we'll get there. I can't.
I do have to say that is one thing that, I mean, we can talk about this when we get into the actual part of the chapter that made me feel this way, but one thing that this book does is you can really pick the motivations for Ellie's character because there's multiple times in this chapter where Ellie can
Multiple.
decide to do something because of
Yes.
her dad or because of Logan. And it's
Yes. Yes. And straight out, like, it's not one of those, like, it's really not one of those, like, inferred decisions where, like, okay, like, for instance, like, if she was like, "Oh my god, what do I do?" And it's like, "Follow my heart," like, obviously, like, "Okay, cool, Logan." "Follow my head," like, obviously, your dad. No, it's, like, literally, like, "Bitch, who you about to choose? Whose heart you about to break? Your dad's or Logan's?" It's like, "Damn, okay, okay, like, my bad."
I think the only thing that irritates me is that like I don't feel like I should have to choose between the two because I feel like
I feel like there are options that can blend in and,
yeah,
like
like
mhm,
Ellie
mhm,
as a maturing
mhm.
adult, she's 18. So as a young adult, I feel like we have all been in a situation where you had to pick between something your parents wanted for you and something that you want for yourself. And I think the more realistic version of that conflict is to be like, I love my parents. I want them to be safe. I don't want to disappoint them. But at the same time, like, I feel like I'm going to be neglecting a certain part of myself if I don't go for this other option. So the fact that they kind of like make you choose between the two kind of like irritates me because I'm like, listen, I I understand. A lot of people think Ellie is a really dumb MC, and I fully understand why people feel that way, but I just don't get the vibe that Ellie is that stupid. I think maybe she's not street smart, but I don't think that she's dumb, and I think that she understands that her dad's safety is a priority, but
Yes.
she also feels this unique pull to the crew.
Yes, yes, and that is okay. You can't I mean, that's just life, like, to say that, like, you are just going to honor your parents' wishes no matter what and not have a sense of identity, a sense of thrill, a sense of you finally being able to, like, feel like you can find yourself, like, come on, like, you can't call her stupid for wanting to, like, live life and also know where the boundaries are. Like, just let her I mean, she living, y'all. Come on. Everybody out here, y'all got y'all's license. She don't. Just let
Oh
her
my
do what she got.
god. Oh, yeah, no. And that's I also feel like it's unrealistic to make a character who just completely disregards her father.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
even if we jumping way ahead, but it's fine. You know what? This entire fucking episode is spoiler alert for chapter 4, so we're gonna get into it eventually. Might as well go ahead and get into it now.
Right.
But even if you pick all of the options that kind of inform Ellie's character to be more motivated by Logan than she is her father, there are still moments in the dialogue where she's kind of sitting back and being like, damn, how the fuck was I just doing this 24 hours ago and now I'm here pretending to be like the best daughter in the world? Like,
Yes.
she definitely
Yes.
has a conscience and like
Yes.
understands that what she's doing behind the scenes is like a betrayal to her dad. She's very aware of that.
Oh, I cannot wait us for us to get into it. I think the writers do a good job inducing her anxiety and, like, thought process. Like,
Yes.
genuinely, she's literally like, "I'm about to shit myself because I know if my dad ever found out, he would be devastated." What do we call that, guys? We call that grief. We call that the ability to understand that that might not be the right decision for her dad's character. But,
Right.
she's choosing it for herself because here's the thing, and we talked about this literally in the beginning of like, "Hey, how's your week been?" Personal growth does not come without consequences, but it's
Mhm.
something it has to happen. Okay? Like just growing, becoming a better person, like there are negative outcomes to other people that like when you grow, you have to let them go. When you grow, you have to realize that like although your father cares for you and like you are his world, his best interest it might not line up with what you want to do. And that's okay. Like she's just like a young adult and for people to paint her to be like naive. I mean, is she naive? Yes, but like this dumb MC like nah, y'all, she just learning.
Also, in Ellie's defense, she's only as dumb as you play her.
Oh, that is absolutely truth.
Are there dumb options you can pick? Absolutely. If you really want to make Ellie like the most naive version possible, you can. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely some naivete that is built into her character. For sure. I'm not sitting here trying to act like she's street smart, she knows everything. Like, I understand that she is somewhat naive, but there are definitely certain options you can pick that can like really exaggerate those features of her personality. And if that's who you choose to play, that's on you. Like, if you choose to
That
play
is on you. Yeah.
Ellie as a dumb bitch, then she gonna be a dumb bitch, and you sitting there being like, "Oh, Ellie's such a dumb bitch," but it's like you picked all the dumb bitch options, so I don't know
And
what
it's
to
just,
tell you.
first of all, that is not even in tune with her character because you have to understand her mother died at a young age and her father has been overbearing. So you cannot tell me that there's not one person in this world who would be like, yeah, I've lived a very, very sheltered life for this amount of time. And because, especially in a gameplay world where there are no real consequences, like she can finally be free and like feel and like know what the real world is like. She constantly complains every time. This girl can get a damn coffee from Dunkin' Donuts and be like, "This is part of the real world." And you, as a viewer, is like, "Damn, your daddy had you really like under lock and key. Like you really ain't doing nothing out here."
I will say something that's interesting is that when the chapters were first releasing like 2 years ago, I think a lot of people, at least on Reddit, I don't want to speak for other social media sites. Obviously, Reddit has a kind of curated audience from choices that may not span the same opinions or reflections as other social media sites. But just kind of browsing the comments on Reddit, people definitely felt very sympathetic towards her father and just thought that Ellie was unnecessarily rebellious, like didn't
Oh,
understand why she raged against her dad, which to a certain degree I do kind of get because I think at this point I haven't really seen him be really strict, to be honest. Like, he let her go to a party, didn't fight her on it, like he let her stay out all night. Really the only thing, he just doesn't let her drive, which I do think is ridiculous, but I don't think that that makes him an awful parent. Like, I think that's really
right, right,
frustrating.
true.
I don't think he's a bad parent for not teaching his child how to drive. Also, the other reason why I get really defensive of Ellie, I really do. And the reason why is because I really feel like she was me when I was 18.
Okay, okay. Oh,
Like,
okay. I can see it. I can see it. I can
I
see
just
it.
really do feel like her and I are like very like same flame kind of thing when I was 18. Before we continue with the rest of the episode, I do want to remind everyone that if you have any questions, theories, or comments that you would like to be included in a future episode, please email us at playchoicespodcast@gmail.com. Make sure to specify whether you want to be shouted out or not, otherwise all emails will be anonymous. Questions can be related to books we've recorded episodes on, books that we haven't discussed yet, or even questions that you'd like to ask us. Alternatively, you can go to our Ask box on playchoicespodcast.tumblr.com and submit a question. Just specify that it's for the podcast and we'll be sure to include it. And back to our episode. I fully relate to being the girl that is very intelligent, top of her class, like going to a good school, but also just kind of wanting to mess shit up, like a little bit. Because there is like when you're that studious, and because, ooh, I don't know if any of y'all have watched the what is it, the college scandal something? There's like a documentary on Netflix that goes over like the college bribery scandal. I don't know if any of y'all have watched that, but I just watched it last night and it does such a good job detailing like the stress that kids go through to get into college, because it really does become like its own part-time job applying to colleges. And that was something that really held like such a burden on me in my senior year. And I was just ready to let loose before I went to college. I was like, no, let me kick it back one last time with my friends from my hometown
Mhm.
before I really, just leave and embark on a 4-year journey at
Right,
college.
right.
So yeah, it was an interesting time, and I definitely relate to Ellie being someone who is studious, someone who definitely prioritizes their education and their grades, but also at the same time wanting to like live a little and like bend a little bit of the rules to have fun. Now, Ellie's bending a lot more than a little bit of the rules. Y'all, I was not stealing cars, okay? Like, I was not running away from the cops.
We just gonna throw that out there right now.
Like, all we did was fuck around at Waffle House and Walmart. That's really all it was. Like, Oh, but yeah, no, that's why I get defensive of Ellie, because I just see so much of myself in her. I see someone who is ridiculously smart, but also making stupid decisions at the same time for the sake of living her life. And I feel like a lot of us go through that period when we're, young, and we feel like we have missed out on a certain part of our life because we were too busy trying to get educated. And I just feel like anyone who's sitting here and is like, oh, when I was younger, I never did dumb stuff, is lying to themselves. Like, we all did some dumb shit. Now, Ellie's dumb shit on a different level, but
Yeah, her
still, like,
dumb shit can like ruin lives.
her dumb shit is literally like going to end up putting someone in jail one day, maybe herself. But still, like, I get so very defensive of her character because I see so much of myself in her. So that's why I will forever be Team Ellie. Like, I got her back, bitch. If she was a real person, I got her back because I fully relate and understand the conflict that she goes through in this chapter. We've really been talking for 30 minutes, and like, we have not even gotten to the actual chapter content.
This is also our aesthetic, literally creating conversation out of nothing before we
Getting
even
ahead of
get to the.
ourselves. Getting ahead of ourselves. We haven't even dived into the actual thing, and you already have all of our analysis in the first 30 minutes. There you go, guys. Episode's done. We're gonna end it here. Oh God. Okay, are you ready to dive into? Is there any other final words you want to say before we dive into this chapter?
No, girl, because we're gonna go on another tangent probably in the middle of us describing what happened in the chapter. So like,
Right.
let's just wait for it then.
Don't worry. If you are sad that this tangent is ending, it's gonna come back up. I promise. I promise. Okay, let's dive into it. So again, we are going over Ride or Die Chapter 4. The name of this chapter is To Protect and Serve. Just for your FYI, the audience's, the listeners' FYI, the default name for the main character is Ellie Wheeler, so that is why we keep calling her Ellie. We're going to continue referring to her as Ellie throughout the episode. So the chapter summary says your dad is on his way to apprehend Logan and his crew. There is no taking back what you do next. ... And so the last time we left off was on a cliffhanger where we learned that Dad and his partner Jason were on their way to bust the NPC's deal that Logan had told us about a few minutes prior in chapter 3. We do get a brief look into Ellie's thoughts. We can see that Ellie is concerned about the situation, but there's different motivations as to why she can be concerned. She can either be concerned about her dad's safety, going into that situation, trying to apprehend the NPC. Obviously, at this point, the main thing she's concerned about is Kaneko, because in chapter like 2 or something, we saw him fuck up that man's car, and he was just scary for no motherfucking reason.
Oh yeah.
So she can be concerned about her dad's safety, or she can be concerned about Logan and the crew's freedom. So that is a choice that you can make. It's gonna come up later on in the chapter, so keep that in mind. I'm curious, which one did you pick?
I chose Logan. I was more worried about Logan than my dad in that moment.
I, for reference, picked Dad. I was more concerned about my dad. That choice does have consequences later on in the chapter, but it's not immediate, so we'll get back to that.
Oh,
Jason and Dad start to bicker about whether they should wait for backup or not before they go try to confront the NPC. Ellie will urge her dad to wait for backup. You can either appeal to Jason's expertise in handling these type of crimes, or you can appeal to the emotional need of her being his daughter and needing to know that he's safe. Either way, whatever choice you make, ultimately Dad will wait for backup because they'll only have to wait for 10 more minutes, and then they can go apprehend the crew. So they leave. Ellie will immediately go back into her room and she'll reach for her phone to warn Logan. Ellie will send 3 quick texts to try to get Logan's attention, but all of them come back with an error message that the text can't be sent. This is a weird little detail. I don't know if you thought the same thing. Maybe I'm misinterpreting this, but that error message was weird to me because I feel like you only get error messages if your phone is struggling to send a message, not if their phone is struggling to receive it.
no, exactly. Because, well, take iPhone for instance. Like, even if the other person has like no service or something, it will send as a green delivered. Like, but it will
Yeah.
still send.
Yeah.
So like when I saw that, I was like, "What in the sprint, baby? That's you, babe." Like what?
Yeah, no, that whole error message of like this person can't can't receive your message. I was like, what? I said I've never seen that before in my life. Like normally what would happen if someone is sitting in a place where they don't have any service, then it would all everything would just load when they're reconnected back to service. So I've never seen an error message like that in my entire life. If your phone
Yeah.
does that, where it will tell you that the other person's phone is having issues, let me know because that is a level of technology that apparently we are not at in 2021.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before.
Me
That's all
either.
I'm
Me
saying.
either.
The fact that Ellie like it now if they both had iPhones like you said and it was sent as green, then I would understand, but they didn't. It was an error message. It wasn't like a green versus a blue text. So yeah, she now is aware of the fact that Logan's phone is not receiving her messages. So she tries to think of other ways that she can kind of intercept Logan and protect the crew. Ellie will remember that the deal is going down at the Pavilion and she runs to the nearest bus stop. So she'll flag down the bus. There's a lot of different ways to flag down the bus. You can jump in front of it, you can throw a bagel at it. There's a lot of different ways. But either way, she'll flag down the bus and she'll ride it to the Pavilion, which is the West Side Pavilion Mall. Alright, before we move on to the rest of the chapter, let me interrupt to plug our socials. We are at Play Choices Podcast on Instagram and at Play Choices Pod on Twitter. You can also go to playchoicespodcast.tumblr.com for our Tumblr page, which is where I post any episode notes that I have, like links to posts that I've mentioned, photos I've mentioned, or more. We're also available for listening on all major platforms, so if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please rate, review, and subscribe. It's a funky thing with the algorithm that helps us a lot. I wish I could explain it more in depth, but I just know that it helps us, so we do appreciate any reviews that you leave us. And as always, we are a growing podcast, so if you see us pop up on your socials, we do appreciate a share, a retweet, or a reblog, depending on the platform you see us on. We also appreciate it when you share our podcast with your fellow choices-loving friends. And now, back to the episode. She tries to call Logan again while she's inside the mall, but it goes to voicemail. And then Ellie will deduce that Logan probably didn't turn off his phone, but is instead in an area that doesn't have any cell coverage. While she's inside the mall, she has 4 bars. So she's trying to think of a location in the proximity of the mall that doesn't have any bars. So she thinks of 2 locations. She can either go to the underground parking garage or the elevator. What did you pick?
The parking garage, because I was like, how many elevators does this mall have? Like, it's gonna be finding a needle in a haystack. And even if, like, guys, come on, like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna tell you what I used. My deductive reasoning skills.
Okay.
If it was an elevator, then he would eventually had to get off, which means he eventually would have had to have gotten the text messages. So,
Right.
like, there was a longer period of time where he was not responding, meaning there's a longer period of time where he doesn't have service. So he has to be in the parking garage, y'all.
Correct. This is one of those dumb bitch choices where if you pick it, I'm sorry, you a dumb bitch.
And that's exactly what we were talking about at the beginning of this podcast.
If you pick elevator, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I truly have no words. So yeah, if you do pick the elevator, Ellie will go into the elevator, and then she's standing there, and she thinks to herself, "Duh, it's not like Logan has just been hanging out in the elevator for 20 minutes." If you do pick the elevator option, Ellie will see a button that is labeled like P1 for like parking garage level 1. So inevitably it will lead you to the same decision, but again, this is just one of those choices where it's like you just running down the clock. Like there's 10 minutes until the cops get to him, and so you better be making all the right smart
Yes, like you do
choices.
not have time. You don't have time. Listen, though, it's so crazy because they talk about this 10 minutes a lot. Like the dad references it, she references it, but when she's heading to the bus and she's like, "Oh, I got a 10-minute lead." I said, "Ma'am, how? Ma'am, how? Like, there's no way, ma'am." And you gonna go
How
to the
close
mall?
does she live to downtown? I don't know where the West Pavilion Mall. Let me see if that probably is a real location. But I'm about to Google Maps this
Either way,
shit.
she going to the mall, which is one of the busiest locations. Ma'am, stop playing with me. You is just stop.
I literally have this shit pulled up. I do not know anything about the Los Angeles map, so oh god, it is really permanently closed. Wow. Okay, because literally later on in the book there's like a choice. If depending on the choices you make, Logan will tell you that they're tearing the whole place down to turn it into like an office. And it really is like permanently closed. Wow. But yeah, how close she lived to like downtown LA. that she can get to the mall in 10 minutes from a bus ride.
And not only that, she's close enough to be at a bus stop. Because bus stops and buses are very like.
Yeah, you typically can't find a bus stop in a suburban neighborhood. So where
Yes,
do they
exactly,
live?
exactly.
I have some questions about where
Not
they
us
live.
fucking hoes at the plot. Please stop. Not us.
every episode, bitch. But yeah, no, when she started to get on that bus, I said, bitch, that's gonna be like a 25-minute drive. What are you doing? I mean, the thing is, based off of timing, like we said, we'll get into this, but based off of timing, it probably took her like at least 9 minutes because by the time that she finds the crew, bitch, the cops are there. Like, so clearly that bus ride was not the most efficient way to get there,
At
but the bitch don't
all.
have a car and she can't drive, so she did what she had to do.
She had to. And you know what? And that's why it's called ride or die, because that was a ride or die type move, okay?
Yes, the fuck. She literally was like, I'm gonna miss school to go warn these bitches that I just met like a week ago that the cops are coming after them, and betrayed her father. Okay, so like I said, regardless of whatever choice you pick, you do end up going to the parking garage. Ellie will literally visit every floor until she sees the crew. She finds them on floor 3. So she'll see Mona, Logan, and Kaneko waiting for the buyer to arrive, and Mona will begin to complain that the buyers are taking too long and that she just has a bad feeling about the entire deal. Before Ellie can warn them, another car pulls up. The buyers walk out. They begin to like initiate the deal to purchase the car. Ellie decides that, it's either now or never to warn them that the cops are coming. And Ellie can either decide to loudly announce herself or try to quietly get Logan's attention. What did you pick?
Again, guys, let's just use our reasoning skills. I said, we gonna do this stealthily. We gonna try to just get Logan's attention. We'll get there. Does it backfire? Absolutely. But my intentions were pure, okay?
You said I was given 2 bad options and I picked the one that was less shitty. So
Yeah.
So if you do try to quietly get Logan's attention, Ellie will sneak into Logan's eyesight and Logan will spot her. It kind of describes his eyes going wide for a second and then he kind of very quickly puts on his poker face,
Mm-hmm.
but the buyers do notice that he looks behind them and they see Ellie. Now, if you do decide to announce yourself, Ellie will stand up and call out to Logan and Mona. This does scare everyone and the buyers will immediately begin to question who Ellie is. Now, no matter whether you get Logan's attention quietly or announce yourself, either way, the buyers will see Ellie, they'll draw their gun, and Logan will have to disarm them, and he'll take the gun and aim it at the other buyer in order to get him to drop his gun too. So either way, no matter what you do, the scene plays out the same. Guns get pulled out. Logan strong arms this man, disarms it. Let me just tell you, that shit was hot.
And you know what's so funny? I just love everyone's expression when that's happening. Like Kaneko, like even he's having a hard time like trying to be like poker face because he's over here like, what the fuck? Logan's like, baby, why you at my job right now? Mona over here like, I'm so annoyed. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Mona is like, who the fuck is this bitch, Logan?
Mona's like, I know y'all don't like it when I say it, but I told y'all so. Like,
No, that whole thing where Logan like bum rushed that man and grabbed his arm and twisted it to get the gun out, and then he pointed out the other guy, and then like unloaded the gun and then wipes his fingerprints. I said, why am I turned on in the club right now? What is happening? I don't know why. Just imagining him like rushing a man and disarming him. I was like, wow, we love a man who knows self-defense. We love a man
and
who
then
knows.
he's quick enough to wipe his fingerprints off of it. Like, oh, okay,
Yes, I don't know
okay.
why. That I was reading that last night. I said, "Oh my good lord."
Absolutely, absolutely. I already know where this conversation is gonna go.
I don't know
I'm
what it
excited.
is.
This is gonna be a good chapter.
I don't know what it is, but he wiped off that gun. I said, "Why did that just turn me on?" I was like, "This horniness that I'm experiencing is so unnecessary. Like it says no place in the chapter." So after, Logan gets the whole situation under control, Ellie will inform them that the cops are coming. Mona will ask why they should believe her, and Ellie has to pick between telling them about the cops right then and there, where her dad's job is, or saying, just trust me. What did you pick?
I did not want to fight against the inevitable anymore, so I was like, "Yo, my dad's a cop. Like, listen."
Okay.
Because I just feel like that's the quickest way to shut everything down. If we're really on a time frame, I don't have time to be like, just trust me. Why should we trust you? Just trust me. Why? Okay, see, already too much whoop whoop. They're there. If I'm like, my dad's a cop, that's immediate scatter. That's immediate. We need to get the fuck out of here.
Right. That's danger zone number 1. So if you do pick my dad's a cop, Mona will seem genuinely shocked, and then Logan will look kind of pained, and then Logan and Kaneko will look at each other tensely. So I did pick Just Trust Me. It's not an option that I would normally go with, but like I said, I've played this book like multiple times, so sometimes I just be picking dialogue choices just to see where they end up. If you do say Just Trust Me, Mona will say, "Are you kidding me?" And then Kaneko will relent and say that they should go. So Kaneko's kind of the one who is like, this is weird, let's go. The buyers will leave immediately because they think it's a setup, and the crew will debate on what to do with the car
Mm-hmm.
because, on one hand, it's a very expensive car, and
Mm-hmm.
also the car has both Logan's and Ellie's fingerprints on it. So Logan will insist that they have to get the car out. Now, that is a diamond option to help Logan escape with the car. If you don't take the diamond option, you'll leave the car behind. So, did you take the diamond option?
Here's the thing. I understand that choices got to make their money somehow. But like, I am so invested in this book that when it comes to the diamond options, I'm just like, just go ahead and take my money. Because I'm like, I just feel like for the progression of the storyline, and like, because I just literally was like, hey, my dad's a cop. I'm about to get in this fucking car with you. And we about to talk. We about to get away. I'm about to help you. Because like, in my head, if I didn't get in that car, they were gonna get caught. And then it's just like, I exposed myself for what? Everything that
Exactly.
I did backfired. And that's what I don't want to happen. So I was like, let me get in this car. Let's go. Let's vroom vroom. Been here, done this so many times before. Shit. The passenger seatbelt got my name on it at this point already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I really feel like it doesn't make any sense to like run to the mall and then just like tell them to dump the car, especially after you put your hand on it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say this in the description, but basically like when the buyers like peel out of the parking garage, they like do it so quickly that Ellie has to jump out of the way to avoid getting hit. And then in
Yeah.
her jumping away, she puts her hands on the car. So that's how her fingerprints got on the car. The only thing that I think is stupid, I'm like, Logan, why are you leaving fingerprints all over the car? Like, you've done this 1,000 times. Why aren't you wearing gloves? Like,
Yes.
I said, really, like, for as seasoned criminals as y'all are, and you don't know to wear gloves when you are stealing and dealing like stolen merchandise,
Right.
like that detail kind of pissed me off because I'm like, theoretically, we should be able to leave this car here because there shouldn't be any fingerprints over it. Like, oh god, that annoyed the fuck out of me. But yeah, I do agree. Like, if you're gonna risk your life to go to the fucking mall to prevent a standoff between the NPC and the cops, like, you should be willing to get in that fucking car.
You have to. Especially when they were like, "Oh, Ellie's fingerprints are on the car." Now I have to go because not only is it I'm trying to stop y'all from going down, but if I don't get in this car, y'all will go down, and that means I will go down as well. We got to do something about this, y'all.
Right. Like, if you just leave the car there, at best, you have to hope that you're just never in a situation where you get fingerprinted. Because if her fingerprints aren't in the database, then they're not going to be able to connect it to her. But Lord, the way that Ellie's going, she doing a little shoplifting at Claire's, that shit's going to pop right the fuck up.
Exactly. And let's also not pretend that like, oh, well, maybe they won't find the car. Like, it's $1 million car. Like, come on.
Like, they know that they know that there's a car deal going down in the parking garage, so they're absolutely going to assume that that's evidence. Like, how many cars are worth $600,000 just casually sitting in a mall? Especially if it's like a one of a kind car. Like, any detective who is investigating like Grand Theft Auto kind of cases, they're going to know which car is going to be the car that is going to be the hit for the NPC. So I feel like at that point you have no choice but to take the dime option.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I, of course, took the diamond option. Let's walk through what happened. So Logan will back out of the parking spot and start flying up the ramps of the parking garage, which, can I just say, could you imagine? Let's take ourselves out of the situation.
Okay.
You're at West Pavilion Mall, okay?
Okay.
Casual consumer. You're a casual shopper. Let's say it's you and me. We're shopping West Pavilion
Okay.
Mall. We hit up, what's the hot stores? Forever 21,
Mm-hmm. Well, we know they in LA, so we probably at Gucci. We at Prada. We at
This is
Sephora.
probably, you know what? Because in the city that I live in, there's like a really bougie mall that no one ever goes to, but it has all the like luxury brand stores.
Mhm.
So since like Ellie makes a comment that there's no one in it, I bet you that there's a bunch of like luxury brand stores. That's why no one's in it.
Exactly. They got like an anthropology there. Like
Right. They have like a crate and barrel. Okay, so you and I just finished walking out of Gucci, Prada. We walked right through Anthropology and Crate and Barrel. We looked at the dining table that was worth $3,000 and we said
Right.
no thank you. And then we got some Panda Express and Dippin' Dots, right?
Period. Fucked with the Panda Express. Yes, here for it. It's realistic.
And you know nobody ever sits down to eat Dippin' Dots because you got to be on the move with that shit because that shit it'd be melted. So
Yeah.
we're walking out. We have our one bag of something we bought at Hot Topic because we ain't buying no Gucci
No,
shit at the
Gucci.
mall. And we walking out with our one bag of Hot Topic. We eating Dippin' Dots, and you're like, "Oh my god, where'd you park the car?" And we're sitting there, we're trying to figure out. We're like, "Where do we park the car?" And you see this bright ass electric blue car just. Bitch, I was like, I feel bad for anybody who's just trying to find a parking spot. Like, I was just.
Truly feel bad.
Oh my fucking god! Like,
Here's the thing,
imagine.
though. Your fucking nails are electric blue right now, so I would genuinely be like, "Is that the nail flying off, or was that a car?"
I'd have to like. I'd have to like immediately go home and take off my nail polish because I'm like, I don't ever want to see that color ever again. Oh my god. I just imagine, like, let's say that was the one trip that we went to Gucci and we got something expensive. And a fucking car comes and I just drop my shit and I ruin the fucking Gucci merchandise. I'm gonna be like, shit!
You're automatically gonna like ask for a refund, and they're gonna be like, "Why? Like, what's the issue?" You're just gonna be like, "I'm pretty sure your garage surveillance camera can answer this." Like...
Right. I'm like, just go tap that shit, and you tell me if you would have held that package or if you would have let go of it. Because the way this man's going, oh hell no! I'm sure we would have probably had to hide behind something. I don't even know if we'd have the time the way the little speedster Logan is. All I'm saying is I feel bad for anyone who's just casually in that parking garage just trying to find parking, someone who's just trying to pull out, someone who's trying to find where they park their car, because it's a miracle that he didn't kill anybody at the scene.
I'm trying to tell you, he really Tokyo drifted up these fucking stairs.
Oh my god. Okay, before we get on with the rest of the chapter, let me interrupt with some plugs. So you can leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/play-choices-podcast/message. It could show up in a future episode. You can also directly support this podcast at anchor.fm/play-choices-podcast/support. If we haven't convinced you yet, listen to this amazing, amazing commercial that Lucas and I put together for you. It takes me hours. It takes me, no, keep singing. It takes me hours to record. No, keep doing it. It takes me hours to record and edit this podcast. And with your donation of $1 a month could save V from smashing her fucking head into a wall.
Why does the heart...
Thank you so much. And back to our episode. Okay, so Logan is flying up the ramps of this garage. He'll comment that they're almost out of the garage when Ellie notices that the cop cars are catching up to them. Ellie will see Jason and Dad, and she'll start to panic because, her dad is going to see her. So Ellie can either decide to duck in the seat or adjust the back of the seat to completely fold down. Which one did you pick?
Bitch, I hit them high beams.
Same.
I hit them high beams.
I reached over and I hit them high beams.
I just felt like, here's the thing. This was my train of thought.
Mm-hmm.
Let me speak like heartstrong Ellie. I know my man Logan has the ability to get out of here. It's not the issue of like them seeing me if they're behind us because they're not going to get the chance to see me. It's just this very moment right here. So I was like, I'm just going to blind them, do a little a flashlight save, and I'm just going to we're just going to continue with this high speed chase because the ducking down that I can't see, and I have to just be out of my element.
Right.
Um, and again, that just defeats the purpose of me being here. Like, I need to observe, I need to help out, and I thought that was the best way to do so.
Right. The Dead by Daylight player inside of us
Yeah.
said we go get this flashlight.
We're gonna stun the killer, and then we're just gonna get away.
Yes. Also, I feel like just how do I say this? I feel like ducking in a seat that fast in a car that's probably going like 100 miles per hour is just a quick way to like make yourself really nauseous. If Ellie ducks, she'll pull the lever on her seat that adjusts the back of the seat to completely fold down. If she uses the lights, it will blind her dad. Either way, Logan will act surprised at either of them, but the seat option will directly point out to Logan through dialogue that one of the cops is Ellie's dad, whereas the lights option that doesn't come up in the dialogue. So pretty
Oh.
much like when she hits that lever on the seat, he'll be like, "What was that?" Like he'll be like, "What?" He's like, "What are you doing?"
Which is completely understandable.
Right, because he's trying to focus on the road ahead of him, and he just sees in his peripheral vision her fall. He's like, "What's happening there?" And she'll be like, "Oh no, that's him." And then Logan will be like, "That's your dad?" And she'll be like, "Yeah, like I can't let him see me." And then if you do the high beam option, he'll just be like, "What's that?" And Ellie will just say that, she blinded them. So the C option will directly point out to Logan which cop is your dad. So Logan is so fast that the cops literally can't keep up. So Ellie's dad will aim a device at the car and send a GPS tracker to the side of the car. Logan will tell you to hold the wheel while he gets the tracker off, and while Logan struggles to get the tracker off, a solid wall approaches. So he gets the tracker off with just enough time to evade the wall. Yet another moment in the car where you almost shit yourself because you about to just hit head
Hit.
first into this
And like,
concrete
here's the
wall.
thing. When this scene was happening and like he had to like, oh Ellie, hold the wheel so I can like get the tracker off. In my head, it was very egocentric. It was very prideful because I was like, what bitch was gonna help you do this if you were by
Oh
yourself?
my god.
Who was gonna help you out if you was by yourself?
I guess that is one thing, because the one thing that I thought when they were having us pick the diamond option, because I was sitting there and I was like, why can't Logan just get out of here by himself? Like, why is it that if I don't pick the diamond option, we have to leave the car? But yeah, he really wouldn't have been able to get out if Ellie was not there. Because let me
Period.
tell you, Ellie's dad, he put that GPS tracker with a quickness on that car.
He said, you're an amateur, I won't miss. Like
Right, because there was another detective that tried to shoot and it didn't it I can't remember if he just completely missed a car or if it just didn't connect. But Ellie's dad was like, "Fuck it, I'ma do it."
yeah. Yes.
Oh, this bitch, I know his adrenaline was pumping because he was like, "I'm about to get these bitches today." He evades the wall. The cops are blocking the main exit, so they either can go through the mall or the loading dock. What did you pick?
I went to the loading dock.
I did too, but let me just talk through the mall option.
Oh yeah, because I was really curious about this.
Right. So Logan will seem surprised, but Ellie will say that it's mostly empty anyways, and the door is like large enough for the car to burst through. So they'll burst through the door, and if the few customers that are there will run and hide. The car will literally hit all the kiosks. Like they hit in Dippin' Dots. They hit in that one massage station that's at every single mall.
Okay, okay.
They hit in the pop socket kiosk.
They hit in the cell phone case kiosk.
Right. They hit in the kiosk that always has hairstyling tools for some reason. The one that's always a salon in the middle of the mall.
They just drove by a juicery and an Auntie Anne's.
They have the Great American Cookies employee scared.
Oh my god!
Oh god. Oh, so the car will, run past Great American Cookies and Auntie Anne's and it'll burst onto the street. Ellie will panic about, the suggestion that she made, and then Logan will just kind of laugh it off and say that the entire mall is getting torn down to become an office space next year. So that's what the mall is like. If you go for the loading dock, they will enter the loading dock and notice that there's an unloaded trailer for a semi truck, and Logan will reverse his car into the trailer and steal the car in the trailer, which is like so fucking smart. Like, I was like, oh, this is why you're a career criminal. Got you. I understand. So the same dialogue will kind of happen regardless of whether you go through the mall or you are in the trailer. Logan will thank Ellie for saving them, and then Logan will ask why she did. Ellie's answer to this question will vary depending on a choice that you made earlier. So, like I said earlier in the chapter, before Ellie's dad left the house, Ellie could think to herself whether she is concerned about her dad's safety or Logan's safety. So, if you picked your dad's safety as a concern, Ellie will comment that the decision didn't really have anything to do with Logan. But if you pick Logan's safety,
Oh,
Ellie
that's
will
tea.
comment Ellie will comment that she wanted Logan to owe her again. If Ellie chose her dad's safety as her primary concern, and she tells Logan that the decision didn't really have anything to do with him, how Logan responds will in turn be informed by whether Ellie revealed her dad being a cop in the garage.
Damn, this is a lot of building on each other. Okay.
Right. So if she did not reveal her dad being a cop in the garage, Logan will either say that Ellie doesn't owe him an explanation, but if she did reveal her dad's job, he will say that he understands that she was scared for her dad.
How do you not like Logan? I'm sorry. Like, how do you not like fucking Logan? Like, come on.
I just really feel like for someone who's 18, he is like unreasonably mature. And like maybe it's
Absolutely.
maybe it's because he's been through trauma.
Right.
But like
Even in the later diamond option, which we will get to, there's a conversation that happens that just completely makes you look at Logan in a different fucking light. Completely. And even right here, he's like, yes, listen, was I shocked that you're like the daughter of a cop? Yes. But at the end of the day, like, you still don't owe me anything. Like, you're still you. You're still my Ellie. Like, what? Excuse me?
Right, like she can literally blow him off and be like, "Bitch, it wasn't about you," and he was like, "No, I get it, for
No, I
real.
get
Like,
it.
don't.
Yeah, like,
I'm
why
not
would it be
mad.
about
I'm
me?
not mad." He's just trying to diffuse the situation.
He doesn't do the victim card because, like, if like Ellie was like, "Oh, hey, like it's not about you," he would be like, "Why would it be? I'm just a nobody." No, he's genuinely like, "Nah, nah, girl, you got it. It's you. You got it."
Yeah, for real. Like he was like, "No, I respect you not wanting to give me a reason." I also think like probably Logan like working in the field that he does, like he's probably used to people like not really being very open about their motivations. So
Yes,
he's probably
yes.
like, "That's fair." He's probably like, "I understand. Most
Ooh,
people are
snap! This
tight-lipped
hurt
in
me.
this."
This just hurt me. This thought, Ellie. Ooh, this hurt me. Ooh, this hurt me. We being more honest about our family and where we come from than our true intentions with Logan. Like,
Oh
what?
wow.
What? Sis, you over here saying like my dad's a cop, other than like, hey, there's a chance that you just might be for the thrill. Ooh,
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't even think Ellie realizes that she's
that's
like
true.
using Logan for the thrill. Like, I think
You got a point. Mm-hmm.
as readers, we get that, but I don't think that that's connecting with Ellie right
That's
now.
true. You're
Like, I
right.
think right now she's like, no, I genuinely think he's really attractive and I like him.
And there's a connection there, and that's the only thing
Right,
that she's focused on is this connection, good or bad.
right.
And actually, Logan makes a reference to that as well. I want to say he says something like he doesn't want this to end either.
I think it's later on in the it's later on, yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's later on in the chapter when after this whole scene, he asked her if she wants to leave, and she said, "I might end up leaving and never talking to you again, but I don't want to make that call yet." And he's like, "I don't
Mhm.
want you to either."
Yes. Oh, so
Like
cute.
he's basically just telling her like, if you leave, it's fine, but like I don't want you to make that decision.
Oh, so fucking cute.
Ugh. Oh, I'm a simp. I'm simping. I
No,
am a
girl, I'm
simp
full
for
on
this man.
simping. I'm simping. I'm full on simping. Like,
Oh my
I think it's
god.
because like, and this is gonna come off really wrong. Like, I do not like no shade, no ill will, no nothing. But like,
Okay.
for someone who does not have his life together, the least you can do is just be like that respectful and that like Just like,
Yo,
you know,
let me tell you, I was literally thinking this last night when I was playing the fucking chapter.
this is
I
why
was
you my soulmate.
I was literally thinking this last night because I think from a lot of people's perspectives, both the characters in the book and people who have played this book before, they're thinking to themselves like, what is it that Logan is offering that she tripping over? Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, people are
Mhm.
like, this man's a criminal, he's not educated, he doesn't have a future. But I really feel like one thing that the writers did so well, because
Mhm.
obviously you're looking at Logan and you're like, what does this man have to offer Ellie? Like
Mhm.
literally nothing. But if he was an asshole, then people would be like, I'm not into him. But he's not a fucking asshole.
He's
He
not.
like genuinely is so like clocked into Ellie and like how she's feeling, how she's reacting at like
Yeah.
every single turn. And he's so respectful of her and her
Yes.
emotions and
Yes.
her thoughts. And I think that's what is so unique about him is like if he was just an asshole, then I would understand. Then I would be like, well, why the fuck are we entertaining this man? But he's not.
Mhm.
He's like genuinely, y'all. If I could meet a man who was half as respectful as Logan,
Oof.
it would be over.
It'd be over.
It would be
You hear me?
over. I've been single for what, 4 years now? Because every single time I meet a man, they just wild him for no motherfucking reason.
Yes.
I'd be running into the most disrespectful men you've ever engaged with. So to play a character like Logan, who like literally his entire life is just like a danger zone for Ellie, but every single time they have a conversation, he is so respectful to her. I'm like, oh, what?
No, like it truly like it's no, I'm so serious. Like it's his ability to just be respectful that like truly just makes his character so intriguing.
Right. And it makes it hard to walk away from him because like you can tell that he cares like very deeply for Ellie even though like we are very early on in the relationship, you know? And they technically not even in a relationship.
Exactly. And if you look at his life as a whole, who taught him respect? Like he's been by himself his whole life.
Right. Logan is forever my comfort character. I will always come back to this man. Like
Mhm.
I love him.
Mhm.
Hey everyone, this is Post Production V jumping in to let you know that this episode is going to be a two-parter. Next week, we'll be discussing the fallout that Ellie faces from trying to prevent her father and the crew from meeting each other, and we'll also discuss how Ellie goes on to juggle her regular school life with her newfound crew/criminal life. It's a really great discussion. I think there's some great character analysis that continues to happen between Ellie's relationship with Colt and Logan, and we're just very excited for people to listen to it. Thanks so much for listening. Join us next week, and we'll announce on our socials when the next episode goes live. We'll see you next week. Bye.